Video opens with a wide, sweeping shot of the massive Ottoman army gathered before the colossal walls of Constantinople. The camera slowly zooms in on Sultan Mehmed II, mounted on his white stallion, his gaze fixed intently on the city that has defied his ancestors for centuries. The air is thick with anticipation and the low rumble of a vast military force. A new age was dawning, forged in the crucible of ambition and cannon fire. In the spring of 1453, the world held its breath as one of the largest armies ever assembled laid siege to the jewel of the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople. At its head was a young sultan, only 21 years old, but with a vision that stretched far beyond his years. Mehmed, soon to be known as the Conqueror, had gathered his forces, his eyes set on a prize that had eluded the might of Islam for nearly a millennium. The ancient Roman capital, the city of Constantine, now stood at the precipice of its final dramatic chapter. The great chain across the Golden Horn seemed impenetrable, and the legendary Theodosian walls, which had repelled countless invaders, loomed as a formidable testament to Byzantine engineering and resilience. The siege began not with a silent advance, but with a thunderous roar that shook the very foundations of the earth. Mehmed had commissioned a new kind of weapon, a series of colossal cannons engineered by the master craftsman Orban. These bronze behemoths, larger than anything the world had ever seen, began to relentlessly pound the ancient fortifications day and night. Each impact sent shockwaves through the city, shattering stone and the morale of its desperate defenders. Yet the Byzantines fought back with fierce determination, repairing the walls under the cover of darkness. The Sultan knew that cannon fire alone would not be enough. He needed a stroke of genius, an audacious move that would shatter the stalemate and break the spirit of the defenders. In one of the most brilliant and daring maneuvers in military history, Mehmed conceived the unthinkable. He ordered his navy to be transported overland, bypassing the impenetrable chain that guarded the Golden Horn. Under the cover of night, thousands of men worked in unison, laying down greased wooden logs and dragging dozens of ships over the hills of Galata and down into the protected harbor. The sight that greeted the Byzantines at dawn was one of utter disbelief and horror. The Ottoman fleet now sat in their inner harbor, completing the encirclement and turning the city into a death trap from which there was no escape. The psychological blow was as devastating as any cannonball. The noose was tightening, and the relentless attacks on the walls intensified, pushing the exhausted defenders to their absolute limit. The climax arrived with the first light of dawn on May 29th. After weeks of relentless bombardment and skirmishes, Sultan Mehmed ordered the final all-out assault. Waves of soldiers, fueled by promises of glory and the fervor of their cause, crashed against the battered walls. The fighting was brutal and hand-to-hand, a desperate struggle for every inch of ground. In the chaos, a giant janissary named Ulubatlı Hasan fought his way to the top of the ramparts, planting the Ottoman standard before being struck down by a volley of arrows. His heroic act signaled a turning point. A small gate, the Kerkoporta, had been left unsecured, and through this breach the Ottoman forces poured into the city like a flood. The last line of defense crumbled, and the Ottoman banner was raised high upon the walls, its crimson fabric waving defiantly against the morning sky. As the sounds of battle subsided, Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror made his triumphal entry into the city he had so desperately coveted. He rode not as a destroyer but as a new ruler, his gaze filled with a mixture of awe and solemnity as he passed through the streets of the fallen capital. He made his way directly to the heart of the city, to the magnificent Hagia Sophia, the grandest cathedral in all of Christendom. Dismounting his horse, he entered the hallowed space, a symbol of his victory and the dawn of a new era. The fall of Constantinople was not merely the end of the Byzantine Empire. It was the cataclysmic event that closed the chapter on the Middle Ages and heralded the beginning of the Renaissance. A new power had risen in the East, and the world would never be the same again. The age of empires had been redefined, and at its center stood a new capital, Istanbul.